So this is Aba in the southeast of Nigeria, a stronghold of the Biafra agitation where it actually originates from. Security in this place has been very high and sensitive. I'm sure you could see from where we were coming from earlier to do some interviews, we had to be asked to leave before a crowd would gather, for this would cause some commotion. And we've actually had to walk with some security men. As you can see behind me, that is our security guy. Just yesterday, early before we arrived here, there was a reported incident of a Biafra man who was holding his flag, driving a keke, but then got into an altercation with security men, and a shootout started. People were injured and there was commotion. So you do see the sensitivity of what is actually going on here. Most of the people in this state are for the idea that the Biafra agitation should be passed and they should be free to express themselves. But most people in the other parts of Nigeria think otherwise. So we are walking in Aba, and then we'll also walk in some parts of the southeast just to get the first-hand information from the Igbo people themselves.
In Nigeria, there was a civil war that took place within 67 through 70. And at the end of that war, it was declared no victor, no vanquish. And the 3R policies of reconstruction, rehabilitations of Gowon's administration. But the way things move on in Nigeria, prior to now, there was what you may call federalism based on the north, the west and east, and sometimes the Midwestern region. But at a time during the military interregnum, Nigeria was balkanized into different states. And these states gave the north about 19 states of the Federation, and then down south about 17 states with the Federal Capital Territory.
I don't even know why I kept on referring to Biafra as Bafarian. That just shows you the number of names I have to remember every time I'm doing these documentaries, so many of them, sometimes it just get all jungled up in my mind. But anyway, it is Biafra, the Biafra agitation. Quite an interesting story, I must say. It was an interesting documentary for me to do. I got to go into parts of Nigeria that I've never been to before, in the southeast of Nigeria, where the so-called Biafra state is supposed to be. And I spoke to the people there. When you actually go through the history of where it all starts from, where this agitation starts from, you get a sense of anger in the people in that part of the southeast. They're very angry. They've got heavy hearts. You know, they feel they have been completely neglected from the whole of Nigeria, and they feel that they need to be given the respect that is due to them. So they express a lot of anger, and they're happy being called the so-called Biafrans.
It's something that you can't really tell what's happening, but in this part of the world, it's gotten to a level where you can come out and say you are not a Biafran, because almost everyone here, they are in support of it, and so they believe so much in it. They just see it as is their life, is their right, is something that must happen. So the way it's going now, it just looks like everyone is trying to identify with them. Even though you are not, you might not boldly come out and say that you are not. At times you just have to claim that you are, just for peace to reign. And there are some areas you want to go to buy something or do something, you just have to claim that you are among them, just to be able to get what you want to get, even though if you are not. It has gotten to that stage now.
The security issue seems very sensitive in here. I felt it, you know. Like
yes, it is. It is actually, because they don't like to see the police people, the soldiers. They feel that anytime they see them is a threat. Is a threat, yes.
So tell us what happened yesterday with the keke driver.
There was a conflict with the army man, and the army man asked him a question. He said, "Why are you in Nigeria and you're carrying a different flag?" Before you knew it, there was arguments, and the army man slapped the man slapped him back, and there was chaos and gunfire, and some people lost their lives.
When I went to Owerri and Aba, where it's in the southeast of Nigeria, what I did was, when I was on the ground, I would ask people on the streets that, what do you think about Biafra? Do you think this agitation should be supported? Should it be passed? Do you think Biafra is a reality? And immediately the response is like, that is not the right question to ask here. Like, everybody in that place considers themselves a Biafran. So how do you come into the Biafran land and then ask us, do we support Biafra? Yes, they do support Biafra. They are so passionate about Biafra. It's not even funny. They're in full support of it. Though if you go deep into the story and you dig deep, you find that there are some leaders of states and perhaps governors of states that might appear to be supporting the agitation, but at the same time they come up in the open and tell you that, no, you know, don't count me in Biafra. So now you begin to wonder that, will Biafra ever become a reality? Is it ever going to be achievable, or it stays and remains a dream? There are people that have suffered the same thing. They have the same issue. They have a common ground to fight for Biafra to be passed, the agitation to go forward. But amongst themselves, they are split and they're not so open with each other. And that really baffles one to say, but you are sending out a message to the world to say that we want to be in this way, which is the Biafra state. But at the same time, amongst yourselves, you are literally not trustworthy with each other.
This man, something's wrong with you. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Go on.
Biafra agitation, people vying for it. It has been a story that has been spoken about for years, decades, if I must say, but still nothing tangible has actually come out of this agitation, but are highly contested more than ever. In this particular year, we saw the Biafrans rising again against the current government, saying that the government has not supported any development in this particular part of Nigeria, that is the south of Nigeria, and they feel they can do much better on their own. Literally everybody in the south supports the Biafra agitation. What will come out of it is something that we're still yet to see what will actually happen. President Muhammadu Buhari has not really commented about the Biafra agitation. He has not even come up with any press statement as to addressing this issue.
As things were moving on, it was like Nigeria had not understood what it means to run a true federalism. So this Biafran agitation did not just fall from the blue, but it came as a result of long years of marginalization and treating of people from southeast, south as if they were animals. For instance, if you get to check the index of unemployed graduates in Nigeria, you discover that it is more from south and southeastern Nigeria. And the economy of Nigeria is oil-based. Prior to now, there were the pyramids of groundnuts in the north. There were the cocos. People were really, there was a healthy competition among regions. But this time around, everybody folds his or her hands, hoping fully on oil that came from south. But if you get to south, where those oil were gotten from, no roads, there is pollution everywhere. And you come down to this area, southeastern Nigeria, you discover that the government had kind of neglected these people. But what about it? People would not fold their hands and watch their futures being thrown to the beans. There are graduates, somebody who made first class, per se in economics or in petroleum engineering, is left without job because he is from Igbo tribe, because he is from southeastern Nigeria or south Nigeria. But somebody who made a third class or just a pass in a non-related area is put in charge of that. As it were, some animals are more equal than others.
the condition of politics in this country against the East, Southeast, even in appointment. In fact, this government even made it worse to us for the appointments. You understand?
Then they are not involved in the campaign.
Yes, enough of them. Enough of them. The appointment is too much. You know, we cannot carry it again. Okay, now since they said Nigeria is one, what I want to tell you, based on the investigation and how I have had it since my little years, you understand? I find out that the Igbo man have never become a president in this country. So how can we be carrying together, or if they said we are one Nigeria, that we are not oneness. There's no oneness in this country. Now look at the issue of state creation. Southeast, we have only 5 states. Why even in the north, they have 7 states in the northwest. Others have 6. You understand? But why Igbos, the southeast, is having only 5 states? So it's better we let everybody, let us just do it that way, let's go. It's better. Because, look at the, if you talk about the thinking or mindset, we don't think together. My own thinking is different from the other person. So it's better let everybody do what go so that there will be peace.
I would say because of the injustice in the system and lack of equity, and of course ignorance on the part of Kalu and his supporters. By ignorance I mean they were not alive when the war was fought. My father fought in the war, and fortunately I was born before the war.
So you experienced it?
I was a baby. I lived in Enugu. I lived in the barracks in Enugu. My father was in the army, and he fought the war. So from the experience as a young child growing up in Enugu barracks, and remembering the humiliation that the Igbo young boys went through, Igbo young children then went through. I can't remember any Igbo boy in my school. I went to Army Children's School Enugu. I can't remember any Igbo boy in my school. I mean, that tells you the kind of humiliation they went through. If he was alive at that time, if he had experienced what his people experienced, I'm sure he will act differently. I agree that there is injustice in the system. I agree that there's no equity, there's no fairness. I agree, but there are better ways to go about agitating for it than asking for a state of Biafra to be declared. I'm not in support of that.
You discover that this thing is not just worth These agitators of Biafra, check them anywhere. They are simply saying marginalization of our people is too much. If you cannot accommodate us in this business you call Nigeria, then allow us to be free. Allow us to govern ourselves. Allow us to have an independent state. This is what they are saying. But at the slightest provocation, what happens? The military, the police will shoot people at randomly. If you check the number of people who have died based on these agitations, you'll be marveled. These Biafran agitators never bombed a church. These Biafra agitators never bombed a police station. These Biafra agitators never killed any police people on the road. Would they fight them with their hands? But even up in the north, where there is a Boko Haram, quit dead even the military and the rest of them, militarization of that zone is not as it is being done here. So what people are saying is that let Nigeria be Nigeria, and let Nigeria be for all of us, for every single Nigerian. If you merit an office, whether you are from Sokoto, or you are from Meduguri, or you are from Kafanchan, you should be led to have that office on merit. And if you are from the south and you merit an office, let the office be given to you. How would you pick somebody who read agriculture, maybe who made third class in agric, and you make him a minister for petroleum.
There are common grounds. You see, even when, before the war,
after you said it's politically...
there is a political
political
undertone.
yes.
You see, when the politicians who want to use Biafra as a means, I'm very sure I'm right on this. The politicians who want to use Biafra agitation as a means to get themselves to be properly positioned so that they will say, oh, let us give the Southeast the opportunity to produce the president. They are also firing it. But the economic side of it, those who are in charge of who have economic stake, they are not happy. If they are happy because they say, okay, let us use this Biafran agitation to get more opportunities for the what? The Southeast. You see, you have to understand that too. There are those who are genuinely saying, let us have Biafra. There are those who are pushing Biafra from the standpoint of positioning themselves. But one thing is very important. Until Nigeria is restructured, when I say restructured, I mean restructured, we're going to have issues.
Biafra, is it ever going to happen, or it will just remain a dream? One person on the streets that I spoke to, he calls himself a Biafra man from the Biafra land. He was probably the first person I spoke to the very day I got into Abba State. He believes that, you know, this thing will happen, the passion that he has. They even have regalia of their own. But then you go into that place and the sense of security is so tense. It's so tense that we couldn't even really walk around with a camera freely. We couldn't talk to people freely. We had to be in one place for like 2 minutes, and then we had to move away and go to the next place and be there for like 2 minutes again, and we'll see the army coming and approaching, and then we had to move around, and particularly because we were talking about the Biafra agitation, that's like an issue that they don't want us to talk. Obviously, this is coming from the government people, and yet the people that live in that place want to talk about it so much. So we could only do what we could do. We could only do so much when we were in the Southeast. We couldn't explore as much as we wanted to, considering that there's scattered incidents of violence happening, you know, in some cases even resulting to shootouts and deaths of people, civilians that is. So we could only do so much about Biafra, but a very interesting topic of Biafra. One can only wonder, where will it ever end? Where is it going? Will the agitation be really backed up so that it becomes a reality, or otherwise? It remains for us to follow the story and continue to explore and see where this takes us. But then an interesting question that perhaps I would actually want to ask the viewers is that, in your opinion, what do you think? Some have said that Biafra is a time bomb, you know, a time-ticking bomb waiting to explode any minute. If it does happen, it will probably result in a serious war, or if it does happen, Biafra will automatically collapse. So it would be nice for you to comment and tell us what you think about the Biafra agitation.